on all the extenuating circumstances, etc. But it had already been decided behind closed doors. It's so funny that there is indeed a woman who has made it her life's mission.
Further, while incarcerated, Mr. Peterson was recently stabbed in prison, as many of you know, a tragic incident that underscores the urgency of this situation and the risk to his life while this case remains unaddressed. Governor Newsom, I respectfully urge you to issue a pardon for Daystar Peterson, known as Tory Lanez, and a full and impartial review of his case.
Tory Lanez's legal team just dropped a bombshell that's shaking the whole case up. They're now pointing the finger straight at Kelsey, Thee Stallion's own best friend, saying she's the one who actually pulled the trigger. Sounds wild, right? But wait, it gets crazier. The receipts they're bringing? Solid. This ain't just internet talk anymore.
We are here today to bring to your attention some information Unite the People believes is exculpatory for Mr. Daystar Peterson's case, professionally known as Tory Lanez. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell. Unite the People represents Daystar Peterson in his appellate process. We filed an appellate brief and a writ of habeas corpus on his behalf. The district attorney's office has already responded. The case is fully briefed. We're just waiting for the appellate court's decision. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out, but given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come here today to provide you with this information.
This could flip the entire story upside down. But get this. Every time something comes out that shows Tory might have been set up, he mysteriously ends up attacked behind bars. Just days before this explosive evidence hit the public, Tory got stabbed 14 times by another inmate, and it was totally unprovoked. Like clockwork, every time he gets closer to proving his innocence, something nearly fatal happens to him. Coincidence? Nah, that's shady. And guess who's dead silent through all this madness? The California governor. Not a single word.
This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun.
While names with real power are being dropped, the folks at the top are acting like they can't hear a thing. The silence is screaming. Something's off. With evidence loud enough to shake up the whole legal system, why is everybody with authority acting blind? But not everyone is keeping their mouth shut. A few bold voices are stepping up.
The investigation itself was a disaster. Bullet fragments disappeared. The gun's serial number was sealed. A move that blocked the defense from investigating ownership. Police failed to follow standard procedures. Why? Didn't mark shell casings on the road and didn't test others involved that night with DNA. This wasn't justice. It was a rush to judgment. Worse still, the prosecution knew the case was thin. So what did they do? They tacked on gun enhancements, just like they spoke about. The charges, these gun enhancements are meant for gang shootouts and armed robberies to inflate the charges and turn a flimsy accusation into a decade-long prison sentence.
Tory's dad, major respect to him, teamed up with a fire consultant, a justice-focused NGO, and a few legit media heads who've been tracking the case from the jump. They're exposing everything. Backdoor courtroom deals, sketchy moves, missing evidence, and it's all coming to light now. The receipts? Insane. They're making it clear. This trial wasn't clean. You might still believe Megan's version, and that's your choice. But after hearing this, you'll have to ask yourself what's really going on. 'Cause right now, nothing's adding up. The real question is, who did Tory Lanez cross so badly that they locked him up for 10 whole years with barely anything to prove he was guilty? Someone wanted him gone, and they're playing dirty. So what's really going down behind the scenes? Right in the middle of all this madness is a non-profit called Unite the People. And trust, they didn't come to play. From the very beginning, they were loud and clear. They believed Tory Lanez, government name Daystar Peterson, got set up, and the folks who had the power to help him.
We should not allow there to be unanswered questions. We should pursue open questions without fear or favor to anyone. That includes Mr. Tory Lanez. In his letter from the Birmingham jail, Dr. Martin Luther King wrote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." If we take those words seriously, we must act when injustice is allowed to fester in plain sight. I founded the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety after my innocent teenage brother was murdered in Chicago on June 24, 2022. I stand firmly for public safety, for victims' rights, and for holding criminals accountable. But justice also demands that we protect the innocent and stand against politically motivated prosecutions. This is what I believe to happen here.
They've been silent like ghosts. The CEO didn't waste a second. He stepped to the mic and let it be known. This ain't just some conspiracy talk. He claimed they've got receipts the public never got to see. And they're not just fighting to prove Tory's innocence. They're exposing how the whole system been grimy since day one. Then the lead consultant came in and he said it with his chest. This case was never clean. And it gets deeper. Tory had been working on an appeal. But guess what? The minute the New York Post started sniffing around for new evidence, boom, Tory gets attacked again in jail. Random, brutal, unprovoked. Why does every step he takes toward clearing his name get met with violence? It's starting to look like someone's sending a message to stop digging. Now here's where the whole room froze. A new voice stepped up. A man named Bradley James, who used to be Kelsey Harris's personal bodyguard and driver during the original trial. That's right, he was right there in the mix, and now he's saying he can't keep quiet anymore. Bradley claims he heard Kelsey say with her own mouth that she fired the gun. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Tory supposedly tried to grab her arm to stop her, and 2 more shots accidentally went off. That's a jaw-dropper right there. And what's Kelsey saying about all this? Nothing.
Thank you so much for being here. I would like to thank, in fact, all of those who identify with the name Umbrella as One Umbrella. It was actually launched so that my family would not just be the ones benefiting from whatever fame or fortune, but so that all people, anywhere that need a shelter could come under that umbrella. That's the reason why it was launched by Daystar's brother initially, who is known as Wolfgang Peterson. So I thank all of you who have always been an encouragement to us, who have stood with us. Those of you standing here today with Free Tory t-shirts. Jano, can I have that t-shirt right there, please? Those of you who are wearing these and remembering this person, because I want you to understand that from the beginning of this, I stood as far back as 2021, and I watched where a spin doctor for the NBA, now high-powered attorney out of New York, Alex Spiro, ran a campaign to turn my son into a monster in the eyes of the world. At that point in time, God said to us, there is a time to be silent and there's a time to speak. We chose to be silent. And now we've been silent for way too long. The hour demands that we speak. One of the reasons why I stood silent is because I trusted in God, but I also did not want any blowback to affect my son, who was sitting in the belly of the beast. That's why I chose not to speak at that time. I am his father, and that is the second capacity in which I stand before you today as the spokesperson and mouthpiece for my family. Tory has 7 brothers and sisters. He has 5 brothers. He makes up the 5, I'm sorry, and there are 3 sisters. So today I would like to share a few things with you as well. I want to dispel a few rumors because I've been asked to by my son, Daystar, aka Tory Lanez. Number 1, Daystar does not have a drinking problem. He does not have a drinking problem, and that was not the reason why this situation happened. He was not out on the yard as it was about 6:30 in the morning, and cells were just opened for them to be able to go out to breakfast. Now, we're standing in the United States of America, land of the free and the home of the brave. I have watched from afar, being a Canadian. I have watched as presidents, innumerable, and other officials place their hand on the Bible and swear a sacred oath to uphold justice, to uphold truth, because that's what justice demands. So before I go any further, based on a courtroom that I stood in 508 days or so ago and heard my son convicted, is a court in the federal reality of things that also holds the Bible higher than judges.
Not a word since she took that immunity deal. No response to her ex-bodyguard, no statement, no denial, just radio silence. And come on, if someone was lying on your name like that, wouldn't you clap back? But Kelsey, she's been MIA, and that quiet speaks volumes. And here's the kicker, that same version of events, it lines up with what Sean Kelly, an eyewitness from back during the trial, told the court. He said 2 women were fighting, then 2 men jumped in, and the gunshots came from the passenger side, right where Kelsey was sitting. This ain't adding up. It's exploding into something way bigger. So why was Tory the only one tested for DNA? Like, seriously, what happened to testing Kelsey's DNA? Or even the driver's? Were their results tossed aside or straight up buried? And it gets even more twisted. During Kelsey's police interview, a record label executive, someone who wasn't family or legal counsel, was allowed to sit in. That's not normal at all. What was someone from the music industry doing in a police interview? What exactly were they trying to shield or control? These sneaky moves and missing links ain't just suspicious. They scream cover-up. And just like Kelsey, Megan's silence, it's looking real calculated. Word on the street is her image has been kept on life support by industry giants, label execs, and big league PR fixers. They're scrubbing interviews, rewriting narratives, erasing contradictions. Like when the story kept switching between he's the victim and she's the victim. Why go to such extreme lengths to protect an image? It's like slapping fresh paint on a cracked wall. Looks clean on the outside, but the mess underneath? Still there. And now, Tory's team says they're done waiting on the system. They're heading straight to the governor, demanding either a full pardon or at least a release for recovery. 'Cause after that last attack, they're truly scared this man might not survive another day inside. If something happens to him, that's not just a sad ending. They're calling it murder in silence. And according to them, it's all been calculated from the start. This press conference started off as a cry for justice, but it turned into a full-blown expose of how deep this mess goes. Then stepped in Gianno Caldwell, a no-nonsense media voice and founder of the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety. He didn't come to sugarcoat. He came with a folder full of proof and a tone that meant business. According to Gianno, this isn't just about justice, it's about a life on the line. He spent 6 months knee-deep in court docs, transcripts, and records. And after all that, his take was brutal. Tory was set up to fail. He even went as far as to say that if Jesus himself had walked into that courtroom as Tory's lawyer, George Gascon, the former DA, would have still made sure Tory lost the case. You see in the bigger picture yet? 'Cause this ain't just about one trial anymore. It's looking like a whole political chess game that spiraled out of control. The way the pieces fell, it's like every move was planned. And it didn't just split the courtroom, it split the entire culture. Fans, timelines, group chats, industry circles. Everyone's been at war over this case. Thing is, a lot of people were backing Tory way before this new wave of evidence dropped. They were calling out the lies, pointing at the contradictions that just didn't add up. And now, even folks who were against him are starting to admit they might have been played. The media picked their villain and their victim early and ran that story like it was fact. But this new info, it's making the prosecution and the state of California look real sloppy. Then came the moment everybody had been waiting on. Tory Lanez' father, Sunstar Peterson, grabbed the mic. And he didn't just come as a dad, he showed up as a man on a mission. He looked broken, furious, but still standing strong. His voice was filled with pain, but he made one thing clear. Tory is not the monster the world was told he is. This image of him as a villain, manufactured. And Sunstar called out the man he says was behind it, Alex Spiro, a top-tier attorney with heavy ties to celeb PR machines. Sunstar said Spiro worked overtime behind the scenes, pushing a false story about Tory before the trial even began. According to him, this wasn't just legal. It was a full-blown media campaign to destroy Tory's name. And while all that was going on, Tory's family chose to stay silent and pray. But now, they're done being quiet. He didn't hold back either. Sunstar shut down those rumors about Tory having a drinking problem. Said that was just more character assassination to turn the public against him. And the final twist? He revealed that Tory called him just days before sentencing and warned him that something was about to happen. Now that don't sound like a guilty man. That sounds like someone who knew he was walking into a rigged game. But what really hit hard was when Sunstar opened up about the letters. He said so many people had stepped up to support Tory, folks who were ready to testify, vouch for his character, and speak their truth. But according to Sunstar, it was like the judge had already made up his mind long before court even started. The whole sentencing, just a formality, that crushed him. And honestly, it hit a lot of people watching the same way. Then he turned his attention to Thee Stallion. And you'd expect some heat there, right? But nope, no hate, no anger. Sunstar said he and his whole family prayed for Megan. Said Tory never wanted revenge, never held on to bitterness, and that their family was never about violence. That moment, it flipped the whole script. He stood in front of the world, tired, hurting, but still full of compassion, and said Tory's spirit wasn't broken and it wasn't bitter. And then came the part that had jaws dropping. Sunstar revealed that someone in the media knew Tory's sentence before it was even read out loud in court. Like how? That's wild. He hinted that certain bloggers and press outlets might be on payroll, getting paid to push twisted stories. He didn't drop names, but the way he said it, you could tell he knows exactly what's going down behind the curtain. Sunstar wasn't just standing up for his son. He was exposing what he believes is a rigged system, a case where the ending was already written before the trial even got started. And now, with tears in his eyes and fire in his voice, he's out here begging the world to finally hear their side. This wasn't just a press conference. This was a cry for justice, and it hit different. And here we are! Tory Lanez behind bars, stabbed, silenced, and still fighting to be heard. Meanwhile, the system just keeps it moving, like nothing ever happened. But after this press conference, these details can't be brushed off anymore. The truth's out, and it's shaking the table. Because now, people are starting to say this isn't just about Tory Lanez. This is about what goes down when the system chooses a headline over real justice. And that's the scariest part. This team didn't hold back. They made it clear as day. They believed Tory was framed, targeted, and turned into a villain by powerful forces with their own agenda. That the real story was buried, and those who tried to speak up were shut down. From the jump, Tory's name was marked, and the courtroom never gave him a fair shot. But through all the pain, one message stood out. Tory never hated Megan. Not once. If you're feeling this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button. We've got more coming. See you on the next one.